I'm about to lose my brain stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put 2 dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coon. The white man to go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations, I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
Touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't here for my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I won't always smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. I see a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regret, we only facing the better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine, you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans, and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine, you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans, and I got
This is the sound of famous.
Okay, can you guys hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? Once in the chat if you can hear me now. I don't know what's going on. There's no excuse for this not to be working. Hold on, I'm trying to get my software together. Hold on just a second. Okay, so now you guys hear. I don't know. That's crazy. Okay, it was on, honey. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's screw tube. All right, or StreamYard. Okay, so that all been said, let me just start my whole spiel over. Okay. Thanks for tuning in once again. Thank you, Juju. Okay, thanks for tuning in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Sunday vitamin. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. Remember, it doesn't cost you a thing. Okay, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr_A_Shakur, TikTok at Dr. A Shakur, and Twitter at DGoddess27. And as per usual, if you don't like what the queen is cooking, you already know what to do. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, Juju is here, Chris B is in the house, Claudette, December White, Red Wine Entertainment, Lillian X, Michi is here, that Crazy Beach Aries, Latasha. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot to turn my phone down. Okay. Now, with that all being said, Ben Cephas, Byron Cook, Nessa is here. Above all that drama, Brand Slayer TV, Donna. Okay, Deronda. All right, above all that drama says no trolls allowed. Absolutely. Okay, so let's get into it.
Hey, Sunset Nights. Okay, let's get into it because this gunman is still ghost. The police haven't a clue as to where he is. Okay, and then the media has been playing crazy as if they don't know what the motive is. Now, first of all, the man left a trail of clues. Okay, the bullet casings with the words written on there, delay, depose. Okay, at the end of the day, they know what this man was doing. They absolutely have an idea, but they want to play dumb and act as though they don't know what the motive could possibly be. And meanwhile, these other execs are scared, as they should be. Now, let's talk about it because also, as I told you guys days ago, that the person in the Starbucks picture, well, now they're saying that's not the gunman. Okay, didn't I tell you all that? Didn't I tell you all that was not the same person? Okay, how did they not know that in the first place? They look nothing alike. Okay, so that has come out that it's not the same person, and also the FBI has raised the reward to $50,000. Okay, I don't think that's going to do much good because it looks like people just really don't care. Okay, it looks like they really don't care. See social media's unexpected reaction to UnitedHealthcare CEO's killing. So let's go to this report because people on social media have given them nothing but backlash. Okay, and they're calling the gunman Robert Paulson. They've got it all over TikTok saying his name is Robert Paulson and he belongs to this group called Project Mayhem. Okay. Now, first of all, those of us who know about Project Mayhem, we know the first rule of thumb is you don't mention anything about Project Mayhem. So they're clearly clowning the police at this point. But let's talk about it. Social media backlash. Now, almost immediately after news broke that Thompson had been killed, social media users began posting about their frustrations with UnitedHealthcare and other insurance companies. Now, UnitedHealthcare denied my surgery 2 days before it was scheduled. This is what one person says. I was in the hospital, okay? I was in the hospital finance office in tears when I was supposed to be at the hospital doing pre-op stuff. One user wrote on an X post that they received more than 70,000 likes saying, my mother was flying out to see me. My surgeon spent a day and a half pleading my case to United when she probably should have been taking care of her other patients before saying the surgery ended up going ahead, but calling the process torture. Okay, my breast cancer surgery was denied by a different insurance company. Another ex-user said, breast cancer. She asked me, well, is that an emergency? I don't know. It's effing cancer. What do you think? She said. Okay, I had to appeal and luckily it went through. Evil to do that to people. So, a lot of people are upset. Like I told you, their stories could not be independently verified by CNN. Now, a TikToker and anesthesiologist by the name of Brian Schmotzler, said in a video that the shooting was obviously tragic for him, tragic for his family. But this brought up some bigger issues, saying from my perspective, we have a bigger issue with these insurance companies in general, who essentially it's their job to make money, not to actually pay for healthcare. Now, in a blog post on Thursday, they said why we want insurance executives dead. This is what journalist Taylor Lorenz said, who covers social media and analyzed the online responses, saying, no, that does not mean people should murder them. But if you've watched a loved one suffer and die from insurance denial, it's normal to wish the people responsible would suffer the same fate. Okay. And so anyway, they talk about frightening denials. Okay. So I'm going to go to this report because, people don't have any empathy and sympathy for this man. And remember, when I first reported on this, I told you guys how they tried to say that Brian Thompson said like a year ago at a conference that they should put the health care of the patients above the money and all of that. And I said, honey, that's not true. Okay. That man likely didn't say any such thing because these corporate people don't care about the small people. All they care about is their money, the millions they make annually. Okay. And I told you all that they just put that out there for public consumption. Okay. Because now we find out that there's a whole DOJ investigation into him and some of his cohorts. Okay. So please pay attention.
Soon after the shooting of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson came the somewhat unexpected, a flood of social media posts like these.
I vividly remember being on the phone with UnitedHealthcare for days and days, 9 months pregnant, about to give birth alone.
It was a terrible, stressful, mad scramble. We appealed, of course, to UnitedHealthcare, and they denied the appeal within 1 day.
You were wondering. I'm just saying, my thoughts and prayers were also denied. I don't give a
Thompson's death has not only opened the door for people to share their pain about how they say they were unfairly treated by UnitedHealthcare, it has also unleashed a torrent of vitriol against the entire healthcare industry. Ex-posts like this are some of the tamer versions of what's out there. Today, we mourn the death of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, gunned down. Today, we mourn the deaths of the 68,000 Americans who needlessly die each year so that insurance company execs like Brian Thompson can become multimillionaires. Then there's UnitedHealthcare Group's Facebook posts about Thompson, who was a husband and father of 2. It reads in part, "We are deeply saddened and shocked at the passing of our dear friend and colleague, Brian Thompson. Brian was a highly respected colleague and friend to all who worked with him." So far, that statement has received more than 90,000 laugh emojis. No laughing matter to security experts like Philip Klein.
There's now a widow and 2 orphan children out there. They don't have a father now. And we all need to remember that.
Klein provided security to Thompson in the early 2000s.
Now, let me say something about that. He says there's now 2 children and a mother who don't have a husband. Well, at the end of the day, that is true. And it is sad for them. But the bottom line is there are millions of people in this country who no longer have loved ones, mothers, fathers, siblings, children, all because of a trash healthcare system in this country who puts money over health. Okay, so miss me with it. But let's continue.
Thousands, and he has grave concerns about what he's seeing now.
This has set a ripple through the corporate executive world about security and the security of their employees.
I am surprised of the backlash just because it's such a really sad situation that has occurred.
Erin Bradshaw has some insight into the current climate among patients and insurance carriers. She's an executive vice president at the Patient Advocate Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to improving healthcare access.
It's an exhausting process, and on top of already being sick, injured, or disabled, when they are running into a challenge with getting access to prescribed care through their insurer, it complicates it and creates multiple layers of frustration.
Unfortunately, sympathy requires a prior authorization, and I have to deny that request.
As frustrations simmer online with dark comments such as, "May the shooter never be found. My thoughts and deductibles go to the family," a new Gallup poll found just 44% of adults say the quality of U.S. healthcare is excellent or good, the smallest share since Gallup's tracking started in 2001. So we've heard some shocking comments there. Also, comments clearly from people who are frustrated. The security expert that you heard from in the piece just wanted to make it clear that much of this backlash, many of these comments, he says, are insensitive and downright irresponsible. Now, we also had reached out to UnitedHealthcare to get more of their perspective on what's happening here. They did not get back to us, but CNN has learned the company has increased its security measures at facilities around the country.
Okay, so let me tell you all something. They're talking about it's insensitive and all of that. Well, it's also insensitive to let people die simply because they're poor and they can't afford certain medical expenses. Okay, that's crazy. So let's talk about insensitive. Let's start there. Okay, we're all supposed to be crying and all upset and sad because this man lost his life. How many times and how many tears did he shed for any of the people that they denied coverage to? Okay, I have several questions. Okay, at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, the people's response is absolutely warranted. Okay, now I don't wish death on anyone, but at the same time, I reserve my empathy and sympathy for poor people who lose their lives because they have pre-existing conditions that aren't covered by insurance companies and also because they can't afford to get certain things done that could save their lives. not for millionaires, okay, who go around and they engage in corporate greed. And also, let us not forget, again, he was under a whole investigation by the DOJ, okay, so for alleged involvement in what I like to call a pump and dump scheme, okay, where they made millions and other people just got stuck. Okay, so please pay attention and forgive me if I don't have empathy for the situation. Now, and as the wife and children are concerned, well, he should have thought about them and their lives before he just callously disregarded others, he and his colleagues. Okay, now, as the manhunt for the gunman who killed the CEO of the UnitedHealthcare in New York City continues, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has raised the reward to $50,000. Brian Thompson was shot and killed in Manhattan on Wednesday morning. Now, police say the suspected gunman arrived in New York on a Greyhound from Atlanta on November the 24th, 10 days prior to the shooting. They're still trying to determine if he left city by bus after the shooting. What difference does it matter how he left? He's gone. Okay, he's out of there. Okay, and here's another thing. I want you all to pay attention to how foolish they are. Remember the guy that was on the news the other day? I'm not sure what kind of expert that he thought he was, but remember how he made up that whole ignorant scenario saying that the reason he took his mask off is because there was a flirting going on with him and the girl at the counter. Now, this was a scenario that he created in his head, all speculative. But then, as I'm reading further articles today, getting ready for this broadcast, I saw that they literally inserted that in one of the articles as if it were factual. But now then they come out and say that the person in Starbucks wasn't even the killer, which we all should have known. I told you guys that it wasn't the same person. I literally told you that. And also by the fact that the killer is a professional, clearly. That's why they haven't caught him and they haven't a clue as to his whereabouts or his name. Okay, at the end of the day, he was too smart to take off his mask, let alone because some girl is flirting with him at a desk. That's all so stupid. You see how their minds work? Not very well is all I'm saying. Where are the critical thinking skills? But let me continue. So then it goes on to say that the suspect is seen carrying the bag prior to the shooting. Okay. The bag was discovered in Central Park where the NYPD deployed an army of officers and drones to conduct a grid search. And I want you all to pay attention. They even searched the water. Okay, they searched the water in the area. I don't know what they were looking for, whether they were looking for maybe clues or things that he dumped. I hope they weren't looking for him, okay, in the water. Now, NYPD has released photos of the suspected gunman. It came from a hostel on Manhattan's Upper West Side where ABC News said the suspect used a fake name and a New Jersey ID. So also, they say the woman at the check-in counter asked to see his smile. This is it right here. Listen to this foolishness. Asked to see his smile. But this was more than a flirtatious exchange, according to police. You see how they're saying this as if this really happened. This is just a scenario that man made up on the news. Okay, so and you wonder why they haven't caught and have no clues. So anyway. The desk clerk was required to match a guest's face with ID, which in turn allowed security cameras to snap a guest photo of his face without the mask. Security video shows the killer approaching Thompson from behind, firing several shots with a gun equipped with a silencer, barely passing to clear a jam while the executive fell to the sidewalk. The words "deny, defend, and depose" were scrawled on the ammunition. Two law enforcement officials told the AP on Thursday. The messages mirror the phrase "delay, deny, defend," which is commonly used by lawyers and critics about insurers to delay payments, deny claims, and defend their actions. Well, that's certainly what they do. And here again are the pictures. Now, and I misspoke. I'm sorry, I misspoke. The picture from the hotel, yeah, that was him. But the one at the Starbucks isn't. And it's still ridiculous that they're sitting there saying that he was flirting. Okay, does this look like the face of somebody who's flirting with somebody? Okay. Does that look like the face of somebody who's flirting? Now, he probably took the mask off because he had to. It was required. But at the end of the day, that could be a prosthetic face for all we know. Okay, and then look at this one over here. I told you guys that person is much smaller framed and all of that. And it's possible that that person was maybe even a decoy. Okay, that person could absolutely have been a decoy. Greta said he surely is gone. Of course he is. I mean, what would they expect? He came there to do a job, he did it, and he quite frankly left. Okay, and then when they came out announcing that he was gone, which That was just common sense. Did they even really need to even report that to us like I told you guys? Hold on. Above all that drama said Jay Leno chin. Now, see this? This is what social media was posting after they said, "Oh, we don't think he's still in New York." Somebody said he isn't in Indiana. He isn't in Indiana. I looked everywhere. And then somebody says, "How the hell does anyone know he left?" Someone says he's not in North Carolina. I looked. Okay, somebody said he's not here in Cali. I looked. Everybody's just clowning the police. Okay, somebody says, "Why do they keep harassing this poor man?" And then somebody says, "Safe travels. Thank you for your service." He's not in Maryland. I checked. I checked Kansas. Definitely not here. He's not here in Georgia. We looked. So people clearly are just making jokes about all of this. Easy said he's not in Texas. Okay. Well, and the thing is, Mary Cersei said that nose looks fake. Yes, that looks like a prosthetic nose. Okay, that's exactly what that looks like. So, I mean, do they even have a real clue as to who this man is? It doesn't seem like it. And like I told you, people on TikTok are jokingly calling him Robert Paulson. And if you don't know who that is, it's the guy from the movie Fight Club. Okay, with Ed Norton, and Brad Pitt. Now, UnitedHealthcare CEO shooting opens floodgates of Americans venting insurance frustrations. Now, this came out yesterday. For years, patients in the U.S. healthcare system have grown frustrated with a bureaucracy that they don't understand. Doctors are included in an insurer's network 1 year, but not the next. Getting someone on the phone to help, that can be next to impossible. Coverage of care and prescriptions is often unceremoniously denied. Now, this week's fatal shooting of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson has unleashed a wave of public feeling exasperation, anger, resentment, helplessness. And this is from Americans sharing personal stories of interactions with insurance companies, often seen as faceless corporate giants. In particular, the words written on ammunition found at the shooting scene, delay, deny, and depose, echoing a phrase used to describe how insurers dodge claim payouts, amplified voices that have long been critical of the industry. And then someone says, all of a sudden, I'm fired up again. This is what Tim Anderson, he said, describing how his wife, Mary, had to deal with United Healthcare coverage denials before she died from Lou Gehrig's disease and amyotrophic lateral sclerosis in 2022. For those of you who don't know what Lou Gehrig's disease is, it's very debilitating and often fatal. And the person who lived the longest with it would be Stephen Hawking. Okay. And it's named after a baseball player from back in the 30s, I want to say Lou Gehrig, because he's like one of the first people diagnosed with it. Now, Anderson said that he couldn't get coverage for machines to help his wife breathe or talk towards the end. She communicated by blinking when he showed her pictures. This is all so sad. The family had to rely on donations from a local ALS group. The business model for insurance is don't pay. This is what Anderson said, 67-year-old from Centerville, Ohio. When Mary could still talk, she said to me to keep fighting this. It needs to be exposed. For Anderson and others, Thompson's death and the message left at the scene have created an opportunity to vent their frustrations. Conversations at dinner tables, office water coolers, social gatherings, and on social media have pivoted to the topic as police efforts to find the gunman keep the case in the news. Hans Maristella said that he understands why the chatter is bubbling up. The 54-year-old caregiver in California was moved to comment on Facebook about UnitedHealthcare's reputation for denying coverage, saying as a Catholic, he grieves Thompson's death and feels for his family, especially with the holidays just around the corner. But he sees frustration with insurers even among his clients, most of them wealthy older people who've not been shielded from high out-of-pocket payments and cost. And then, the CEO of this company, you pay a lot of money, to get $10 million a year. You won't have a lot of sympathy for the guy. Okay, and he talked about Thompson's compensation package that included base pay and stock options, saying healthcare is a business. I understand that, but the obsession with share price, with profit, has to be reevaluated. Now, University of Pennsylvania researcher Michael Ann Kyle says she's not surprised by the growth of conversation around insurers, saying people are often struggling with this by themselves, and when you see someone talk about it, that may prompt you to join the conversation. Now, Kyle studies how patients access care and says she's been frustrated with the system for years. Costs are rising and insurers are using more controls, such as prior authorizations and doctor networks to manage them. Patients are often stuck in the middle of disputes between doctors and insurers. Patients are already spending a lot of money on healthcare, and then they're still facing problems with the service. Insurers often note that most of the money they bring in goes back out the door to pay claims, and they try to corral soaring costs and the overuse of some care. Now, in Ohio, Anderson said in his initial reaction to the CEO shooting, there was to question whether it was connected to a coverage denial, like the ones he'd experienced with his wife. He said, I definitely do not condone killing people, but I read it and said, I wonder if somebody has a spouse whose coverage was denied. Now, it's something Will Flannery, a Portland-based ophthalmologist and comedian with a large social media following, saw online. Okay, saw online a lot in the shooting's immediate aftermath, and he found it very telling. He says it's zero empathy. And the lesson to take away from that is not let's shame people for celebrating murder. No, it's look at the amount of anger that people have toward this system that's taking advantage of people and do something to try to fix it. That's not what they're going to do. They're just going to beef up security and keep doing what they've been doing. Flannery's content, published under the name Dr. Glau McFlecken, started out as niche eye doctor jokes and a way to cope with his own experiences with 2 cancer diagnoses and a sudden cardiac arrest. But it has evolved, featuring character skits that call attention and satirize the decisions of large health insurers, including UnitedHealthcare. He says that he's never seen conversations around health insurance policy take off the way they did this week, and he hopes that these new voices can help bring about some change. They need to start reevaluating what they're doing, because all of this corporate greed, it's not going to get them anywhere. And this could, for all they know, be the first of more of these incidents. Okay, if this is tied to someone who was engaged in vigilantism because they were upset. Now, again, like I told you, this could be one of his own colleagues trying to silence him because of the federal investigation that they were all under. But who knows? We'll have to wait for more information to come out. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, when they found that backpack, they say that the backpack recovered by the NYPD that allegedly belonged to the suspect wanted in the shooting of the CEO, Brian Thompson, only had 2 items inside, and they were a Tommy Hilfiger jacket and Monopoly money. Okay, this is what sources with knowledge of the investigation said. Now, the NYPD is making good progress towards identifying the suspect, but as of Saturday evening, no identification has been made. Investigators continue to comb through the city for evidence and clues for a 4th day to try and catch the unidentified fugitive. That included the use of police divers. Officers searched a pond near Bethesda Fountain in Central Park, not too far from where the suspect's backpack was found Friday night. Late Saturday evening, NYPD released a new image of the suspected shooter in what appeared to be the back of a cab. No further context was given. So they said they have a picture of him in the back of a taxi. That's what they say. And here is the picture right here. They said that's him in the back of a taxi. So, and like I said, they've upped the reward So with that all been said, they say police have not yet recovered the distinctive gun used in the shooting. It's unclear if officers recovered any evidence from the water. Now, New York investigators and the FBI continue to track the shooter's movements after the Wednesday morning incident and have said that he left the city that day. I mean, did they need to really just tell us that? Like I said, of course he left the city that day. What's he hanging around for? To get caught? And it's interesting that they said this guy wasn't professional. If he was so unprofessional, why haven't they caught him as of yet? Why don't they even know who he is? Okay. And so some New York investigators arrived in Atlanta Saturday following tips that have come in about the shooter. Now, the Atlanta PD confirmed the arrival of the New York team, but declined to give more specifics. The suspect allegedly arrived in New York on a Greyhound that departed from Atlanta. Police have learned that the suspect took a taxi to the Port Authority bus facility at 178th Street and boarded a bus out of New York City following the shooting. The bus the suspect is believed to have boarded out of the city made multiple states. Now, the killer entered New York City by bus on November 24th when a surveillance camera at Port Authority Bus Terminal caught his arrival at 9 p.m. The inbound bus originated in Atlanta, but it was not immediately clear where the suspect boarded. So, like I said, they're pretty much clueless, okay? They're pretty much clueless at this point. I mean, they haven't gotten any further in the investigation from the sounds of it. And it doesn't sound like the public's trying to help them at all, okay? And in fact, as it pertains to that $10,000 reward that they initially offered, people were putting in the comments on TikTok stuff saying, they'd rather give the guy who's on the run, they'd rather give him $10,000. And then, the experts are now saying, which I find interesting because they said he wasn't professional before, but they're saying that the shooter's meticulous planning has helped him to evade police thus far. So the gunman being sought in the killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson has not made it easy for the New York Police Department to find him. Okay, so and that's no surprise. But like I said, they want to tell us that he's not professional. Clearly he is. Okay, this isn't his first time at the rodeo, I'll guarantee. And so they go on to say that despite firing the fatal shots in a busy part of Manhattan where there are countless security cameras, and despite revealing his face at the hostel where he is believed to have stayed before the shooting, investigators have not yet publicly identified the gunman who ambushed the 50-year-old insurance executive early Wednesday. Now, former NYPD detective Michael Alcazar, who is now an adjunct professor at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, noted that the time before the shooter's image was widely released has helped him, saying right off the bat, this guy had a day to get away. Okay? Saying, but now that we have his image, I can almost guarantee that detectives have gotten solid leads on who he is from Crime Stoppers or somebody else looking to collect reward money. They probably already have a lot more information about him than they're letting out to the public. Yeah, I don't think so. Now, that might be the lead that the NYPD needs. This is what retired NYPD detective Jillian Snyder said, saying this is someone with distinguishable features. He has a smile. First of all, that wasn't him with the smile at the Starbucks. Earlier, Tom Verney, who is also a retired NYPD detective, told MSNBC's Jose Diaz Ballart that it's only a matter of time before the shooter is identified or arrested, now that his face is being plastered on news sites across the country. He also didn't rule out that the killer might still be in New York City, saying in a city like New York City, that you can disappear into a crowd. NYPD Chief of Detectives Joseph Kinney said later they believe the suspect had left New York City. He said they have footage of him entering a cab that took him to the Port Authority bus terminal near 178th Street and Broadway. Okay, so Now let's go to this report that came out a few hours ago. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Hold on, I'm going to skip that one. We're going to go to this other one first. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys. Thank you in advance. That's the way you can support the channel absolutely for free. Please pay attention.
Thanks for staying with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. We're taking a live look there in Manhattan, of course, in New York City, as the manhunt is still underway for the UnitedHealthcare CEO shooter. So we do know right now that this manhunt has now entered its fourth day, while police are searching for the man who shot and killed Brian Thompson in front of the Hilton Hotel there in Midtown. Of course, we know he did vanish into the streets of the Big Apple, prompting a large-scale manhunt that police are now saying extends outside of the city of New York. So we do want to go ahead in the back around 6:45 a.m. local time on Wednesday, and what police describe as a targeted attack by a masked assailant lying in wait. So we do want to continue on here with our coverage. I want to bring into the program and now Josh Sherrard, former FBI agent. Thanks so much for joining us here on Live Now. I have to ask you, of course, with this new information that's coming out, of course, we know that police have uncovered a backpack as well as DNA potentially there from the scene. Where does this investigation now stand?
So with the evidence that they've been recovering over the last few days, there's been a lot of talk about DNA and finding DNA evidence on these different pieces of what they believe to be the suspect's backpack, water bottle, and whatnot. And really, it's going to be trying to find a match for that. With this newest news that we have that we've possibly identified a suspect, now we have something to compare that to. People have to remember that just because you have and found DNA evidence on the scene really doesn't get you any closer to identifying a suspect unless that DNA already categorized in some sort of database. And in all honesty, the vast majority of America is not categorized in a DNA database like CODIS unless they're a prior offender, they've been convicted of a sexual offense, anything like that, that would cause them to be in that database. Otherwise, all they're able to do with that DNA evidence is store it and then use it to compare it against a known suspect later down the road. So really, that DNA evidence in itself really doesn't get us any closer. Now, if we do in fact have a suspect that we believe may be the shooter, now we're able to get some comparison DNA, which would give us a preponderance of evidence to believe that this might be our actual shooter.
And when you're talking about that, you're saying that unless they have priors, they might not be in the system. But if you identify the suspect, how would they go about it? Is it through a family member? Is that the best way to try to track somebody if you think you have an idea of who the suspect is?
So there have been some previous cases in the U.S. where different law enforcement agencies around the country have actually utilized those DNA databases like 23andMe and Ancestry in order to get a trail, in order to get a direction on which way to go. Now, this was always a big gray area in law enforcement. A lot of it was because that type of DNA databases were very new. I mean, they've only been around for a few years. So using that as an investigative tool to say, to actually submit DNA evidence as a profiled user to 23andMe or Ancestry or whatever it might have been, got them in a direction and started identifying family members and identifying a family tree that allowed them to kind of walk their way down and into a suspect. The most famous one, this is how the Golden State Killer was found. They literally used known DNA evidence from a scene, submitted it as a anonymous user, and were able to get family members and a lineage in order to point them in a direction. Now, since that happened, there's been a lot of regulation and law put in place that prevents law enforcement from doing that due to privacy issues without a court-ordered warrant to do so. So that may, if we have identified a suspect, that may not be necessary to kind of go down that investigative route if we have somebody to compare that DNA against. But if not, if this isn't a suspect, if this doesn't turn out to be the shooter, then that may be a route that they can go down by trying to get a warrant to utilize some of those databases to try to get them closer.
Okay, Josh, I want to put up this tweet that we also have specifically of the backpack. Of course, we know that this news broke yesterday that NYPD officers spotted by Fox 5 New York guarding a bag there in Central Park, close to where the investigation was underway for the murder of CEO Brian Thompson. Of course, this was later confirmed to be the backpack, which they suspected that this brown TJ Maxx bag also had clothing inside of it as well. When we're looking at this, we just talked about the DNA aspect. Is there anything else that officers are going to be able to draw from this piece of evidence?
Yeah, it depends on what's in the backpack, but we have reason to believe that he changed clothes possibly multiple times, depending on the pictures that we're looking at. We're seeing him in different clothing, different pieces of clothing. So once again, if we can find those pieces of clothing that we believe he changed into, and that's corroborated by those pictures, then once again we have more corroborative evidence, more consequential evidence, or excuse me, circumstantial evidence to actually point to a shooter and to identify this as the shooter's backpack. This is a fairly popular style of backpack right now. So we're not even really sure that this is the shooter's backpack. We do have reason to believe you can speculate to say it is, but really what it's going to come down to is, hey, can we positively identify this as the shooter's backpack? And then we can start to dig deeper into those different types of clothing, into receipts, maybe financial documents, anything that would help corroborate our timeline that we've already established. And then, of course, DNA. If that is clothing, there is likely to have some sort of epithelial, some sort of hair, some sort of DNA on it that we can once again use as comparison later when we do identify a suspect.
Now, let's talk about the time aspect of this entire case. We know this manhunt is now entering its fourth day, now today being Saturday. I want to now also play out a soundbite that we have from the New York police chief. She was mentioning how they believe the suspect has fled New York City. Let's listen into those remarks, and I want to get your response to it on the other side.
The suspect or a person of interest may have left New York City. And so we want to get the photo out to a national audience. And we want all your viewers to take a good look at the photo. And if you recognize the person in the photo, call 1-800-577-TIPS. Our investigators, our detectives chase down every lead that we get, but we need your audience to help us out and let us know if they recognize the person. I'll also say, if you see the person on the street, don't call that number, call 911 because the
Let me tell you guys something. I can guarantee you that anybody calling in those tips is probably calling in, sending the police on a wild goose chase. Okay, please pay attention. Nobody's really trying to help.
The person could be armed and dangerous.
Well, just from looking at the video cameras that we've been doing, is we were able to track him all the way from the incident location itself, and eventually we have him entering the Port Authority bus terminal at 178th Street and Broadway. As we know, that's an interstate bus terminal, so it's our belief we saw him go in, we didn't see him come out, so it's our thought that he got on one of those buses, and we're running that down now. Yeah, we believe he was here for about 10 days, but we have that bus leaving the same morning, him going up to the Port Authority terminal the same morning of the incident, approximately an hour afterwards.
Pretty good context there as to what they were deciding to release at this point as far as information goes of what they think the shooter's movements were. Again, what are your thoughts after hearing that?
I think this is a solid theory. You know, we've worked our way backwards from the beginning of the timeline and have reason to believe that he did come in by bus, specifically from Atlanta. So thinking that that would be his route of extraction, his way to exit the city is also a fairly solid theory as well. Now, what I think we have to keep from getting wrapped around the axle is really keyholing Atlanta as his last point of destination or his first point of destination, or his jumping off point. That may have only been a stop. And so we need to make sure that he did a tremendous amount of planning. I mean, we've seen this with every part of this investigation, is there was planning that went into every piece of this particular crime. So there's no reason to believe that there wasn't solid planning that went into getting his way into New York and getting his way out in order to throw off authorities. So Atlanta may have only been a stop, and there may be a third location that he may be at in order to throw off authorities to his actual home, his actual destination. So people need to remember that, oh, well, he must have went to Atlanta. He's nowhere near me. There's no way he's in my city. That may not be the case. And so it's really important right now that everyone stay extra vigilant in trying to locate and identify the suspect.
And Josh, while I have you, again, there are reports out there, this is from the New York Times, that the suspect may have used a veterinary gun. They're saying this is a gun that's used on ranches or farms. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I unfortunately I just can't agree with those allegations. So if we really look at the original video, if we look at these weapons, these pistols that he's claiming to use, and namely they're using the B&T VP9 and the B&T Station 6 with the US version 1. I saw a pundit come on and talk about the VP9. The VP9's not even shipped to the US. It's not imported. That's the Station 6. It's also a $6,000 pistol. It's very difficult to get. Really what breaks it down and really what leads me to believe that that's not the weapon that's being used is its form of function and action. Some of these experts out there are claiming that, well, because he had to cycle the weapon, it must have been this particular gun, which is not the case. There are so many different combinations of pistols with suppressors with different types of ammo that would cause your standard semi-automatic pistol that had a suppressor on it not to cycle and have to be forced to action. The other part is we can see in the video how he's actioning, how he's cycling that pistol by reaching over it, grabbing the top of the slide, moving it back and forth. These B&T pistols work completely differently. It's a locking bolt. You have to reach to the back of the pistol, unlock the bolt, pull it to the rear, push it forward, and lock it. It's a 4-click action, which is clearly not what is going on in the video. So I really think that we need to kind of take a step back on trying to identify an actual weapon.
Sorry, but the police just look so ridiculous, in my opinion, how they're just pretending to be looking, because that's what it looks like they're pretending to be actually looking. Okay, is this how they conduct a grid search? Okay, because when I learned how to conduct one in college, I'm sorry, but it didn't look like that. Okay, so I have several questions, Mr. Police Officers. Another thing is, they're sitting here, looking in bushes. What are you looking in bushes for? What are they looking in these bushes for? I have so many questions. Now, Royal said, y'all so programmed to say Middle Eastern. Yeah, he flew 3,000 miles to off a CEO. Stop the cap. I mean, at the end of the day, that man doesn't look Middle Eastern to me. I have to agree with you. That man looks like a regular Caucasian man. What about him looks Middle Eastern? I don't know why anyone said that. You can't see his hair color. Okay, in that picture, you don't even see his eyebrows. I'm just wondering. He looks like a regular white person to me. Doesn't look Middle Eastern at all.
Right now, focus on the suspect and then let the investigation reveal what weapon he was using, rather than just pigeonholing it and causing people to get tunnel vision on a particular firearm at that.
And of course, we've been talking about the Atlanta aspect of it all as well. I want to put up this tweet from our partners there at Fox 5. Of course, now they're saying we know he took that bus originally at least 10 days before from Atlanta.
I'm going to stop right there. I think we've all heard enough at this point. Ronnie says, why would we need to be vigilant? Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. The police and the FBI need to be vigilant, not us. To do their job for them. Okay, if I saw that man in Walmart grocery shopping, I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing. Okay, it's not my business at the end of the day. And so, it is what it is, okay? But listen, and here's another thing. After listening to story after story of people coming out, talking about how their loved ones were denied coverage and some of the things that happened, it's just all so sad. My heart goes out to those people, not to Brian Thompson. I'm sorry. I don't have any sympathy for him. Now, I mean, it's always sad when somebody dies, I guess, but at the end of the day, when you're a person who engages in corporate greed, and let's not forget the investigation that was ongoing, okay, at the end of the day, it's just a little hard for people to feel sorry for you. Now, although I don't think it's right to take someone's life, over those sorts of grievances, but at the end of the day, I completely understand why people are upset. Okay, I completely understand. And now they're talking about the Andrew said, Queen, the shooter's name is Robin Hood. I am so done with you. Okay? Not Robin Hood. Right. Well, like I told you guys, they're saying, hold on, let me go to this clip. let me go to this video real quick, and then we got to talk about, some of these claims that people were denied and how they lost their loved ones. It's really sad. And like I said, my heart goes out to those people, okay? Not to some rich millionaire who was just so enthralled in corporate greed.
That CEO in New York, so it just came out that the man who smoke checked that CEO in New York is not acting alone. He's actually part of a larger cell known as Project Mayhem. Apparently, they have a lot of members, and you never know who they are. They could be anywhere. They could be anywhere.
Oh my goodness. Social media is so nefarious. Okay. Christopher said, keep cooking, Queen. Thank you, beloved. I sure will. Okay. I'm sorry. I just don't have any sympathy. Yes, the real victims are those who are denied claims. Absolutely. Okay. I mean, healthcare coverage should be absolutely free. Okay. It's free in certain countries, but here in America, honey, here's the thing about this corporate entity known as America, because this is absolutely a corporation. What they do is they put things, chemicals, and all sorts of GMOs and all these things into our food to make us sick. And then they don't want to pay for the coverage. Okay, even though you've been paying your premiums and all of that, they will still deny you coverage in many cases. Now, let's talk about this case right here, because I thought this was absolutely egregious. I find this absolutely egregious. This young woman's father, the hell that he must have gone through.
Diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Defend, deny, and depose. Last year, my dad was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. They did a surgery. They had his thyroid removed. Well, his levels were not improving, and they found out that he had a rare autoimmune disease, myasthenia gravis. Therefore, they had to remove his thymus out of his chest. So they did open chest surgery, and they removed his thymus. He was released from the hospital 24 hours after that surgery. And while he was at home resting, he came to my mom and said, "Do my eyes look yellow?" And she said, "Absolutely, they do." And they immediately went back to the emergency room at the hospital where my dad had the surgery to remove his thymus. Those doctors were like, "Whoa, we don't know what's going on." He was there for a week, deteriorating away for a week. His liver numbers were getting worse as the week went on, and they finally said, "We don't know what's going on, but your liver is failing. We're going to cart you off to the Mayo Clinic because they're better suited to handle you." They basically painted the Mayo Clinic out to be like the Wizard of Oz's home, okay? So they send my dad off on a dream to the Mayo Clinic, and he gets to the Mayo Clinic. They run hundreds of thousands of tests, and they determined that my dad got autoimmune hepatitis from a medication that he received in the anesthesia from the surgery when they removed his thymus. And so they told my dad, they sold him another dream telling him, "We're going to get you a liver transplant. You are going to make it. We're going to get this liver transplant. You just have to jump through 975,000 hoops before we can get that liver transplant. But we're going to get you the liver transplant," as my dad is deteriorating. So he's in the hospital, right? He's eating the hospital food. And as he's eating the hospital food, guess what? My dad gets E. coli from the hospital food, okay? So my dad now cannot keep any food down. He is deteriorating away because his liver is failing. He has a compromised immune system because he doesn't have a thyroid. He has this rare autoimmune disease. So my dad is doing horrible. He's losing weight at a very rapid pace. They send my dad home. They send my dad home and tell him to try all these different weird diets, but the liver doctor would not allow my dad to have a Z-Pack. He would not let my dad have a Z-Pack because he said that the liver would not be able to deal with the medication coming through it. It couldn't dissolve the medication or whatever. So my dad continued to deteriorate. It got so bad. My dad was throwing up all the time. He could barely walk. He then started to be filled with fluid in his body. Again, the doctors are doing nothing. They keep telling my dad, "It's okay, just hang on." They're pumping him with so much medication, you wouldn't even believe how many medications he's on. And my dad's mental state started to deteriorate. My dad could not make decisions for himself anymore. My dad was hiding under blankets, trying to gather himself because his mental state was deteriorating. All the while, they could not do anything. So they kept promising him, "We're going to get you on this liver transplant list. You just need to get stronger. We just need you to get stronger." They give him a feeding tube. His body is rejecting the feeding tube and the things inside of the feeding tube. Then they take my dad out for a walk one day. They're trying to get my dad out of the bed after they were able to finally get the pounds of fluid out of his body. They tell my dad, "Come on, you just need to go on a walk." My dad falls on the walk with the nurse in the hospital. My dad falls, and that was it for my dad. My dad could not do it anymore. So they had a meeting the next day. My dad was holding out hope because the doctor, the liver doctor, kept promising my dad, even in this horrible state, that they were going to find a way to get him on that liver transplant list. And because he was so close to dying, because his liver was failing so bad, he would be at the top of the list. The doctor continued to promise this over and over and over. So they did all of these meetings, and I get a notification on my phone that my dad's liver transplant was denied. They denied the liver transplant because they said my dad was not strong enough. And at that moment, my dad gave up. He could no longer be mentally tortured. He was stuck in a hospital throughout the entire holidays alone, 85-90% of the time. And he had no help. I sat on the phone with doctors who were like, well, he's refusing his medication, so there's really nothing that we could do. He doesn't want to take the medication. He was taking over 50 medications. These executives, these doctors, these corporations, they don't care about their patients. They don't care what happens to their patients. They don't care. They don't care. This whole situation of what happened with this CEO of UnitedHealthcare has really triggered me, because I have been the person advocating for their family member to get the help that they need, and them not getting the help, and my dad ending up dead. In a month from now, it'll be a year since my dad has been gone. I don't wish ill on anyone, but these corporations don't care about people. They only care about money. Defend, deny, and depose.
That is absolutely egregious. Oh my goodness. I just wanted to cry. That is awful. And then they sent that poor man home. You know why they sent him home, don't you? They sent him home to die. That's what they did. Why would they send him home otherwise? He had all these ailments, and then they said he's refusing to take the medicine. Well, 50 medicines that are not making him feel any better, get any better. Well, it's obvious why he wanted to stop taking them. He was probably ready to go at that point. Okay, it was hopeless. And they sat there and fed all those lies. And then he was denied for a liver transplant. At the end of the day, I would have sued the hospital. I would have sued the hospital because, for one, he got E. coli from the food at the hospital. That's for number one. And for two, he got the hepatitis from one of the medications that was in the anesthesia, according to her. Now, if that's all true, I would have sued them. I don't care how long it would have taken. I would have raised holy hell at the end of the day. And I want you all to pay attention, because this is something that happens every day in the divided snakes. Okay, now let's go to this other story. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. This is all absolutely deplorable. Okay, my sympathy and empathy are for the people who have to go through these sorts of things, not for rich corporate greed-filled CEOs.
I've never told this story before, and I really don't want to tell this story, but I'm going to tell this story as an act of solidarity with the people that are feeling a little less than sympathetic about the UnitedHealthcare CEO's demise. And then maybe to add some perspective to the people that are struggling to understand why people are struggling to be sympathetic. To be clear, I don't condone vigilantism, and I don't plan on committing any acts of vigilantism. But I'm going to share this story because I think it's important. About 2 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with colon cancer, and this was her second bout with colon cancer. She had gone into remission about 4 years before the second diagnosis. So when it came time to seek treatment for the second diagnosis, the insurance companies had figured they spent a little bit too much money on her already. She had Medicaid, but she also had a supplemental health insurance plan. The second cancer diagnosis happened really fast, and she only had a very small window in order to seek treatment to even have half a chance. And of course, they denied her claim. And then it metastasized to her liver, into her brain, into her bones, and she was
Okay, for you guys saying that it's hard to hear, I'm sorry, the volume's up to capacity. At the end of the day, this woman has a very soft-spoken voice. She's talking about her mother who was sick, had colon cancer, and what happened to her, how the cancer metastasized and all of this. And basically, they weren't doing anything to help her get any better.
excruciating pain. So then she tried to seek palliative care because she knew she was dying, and they denied that too because she wasn't in an advanced stage of dying. She wasn't dying enough in order to be provided with some end of life care, some pain medication.
So let me just say, for those of you who find it hard to hear, she now says that her mother was in excruciating pain. Okay. She was in serious pain, and they didn't want to give her anything for the pain because they said basically that she wasn't dying enough. Okay. That she was not in a state to where she needed some sort of advanced care. So they didn't give her anything for the pain. So this woman had to lie there sick and dying in excruciating pain. And they're refusing to give her something for it. This is all so crazy. But let's continue.
Anything to make her passing more comfortable. So she sought self-medication because she was desperate. Now, full disclosure, my mother was an addict the majority of her life, but the last 10 years of her life, she had gone through extended periods of sobriety. So that's not what this impulse was. She was simply trying to escape the excruciating pain that she was in. So she got some fentanyl off the street and she overdosed and she died. And after she died, I went through.
So she says her mother was previously an addict, but she had for 10 years been clean and sober. And then, due to the extreme pain that she was having and not having any relief, she went onto the streets and bought fentanyl. And then she she overdosed. Now, I have to ask myself, did she purposely overdose? Because maybe she just wanted to be out of her misery. But let's continue.
Her things. And I found a mountain of letters to nonprofits, to the health insurance company, to hospitals, begging for help. I still have those letters, and I can't read most of them. I think I have gotten through maybe 2 of them. They are heartbreaking. When people ask what my mother died from, I usually say from being poor. Can't push people to complete abject desperation and then wonder why they do things that are desperate.
Exactly. Okay, that's absolutely deplorable. The poor woman she said after her mother passed, she found a mountain of letters when she was going through her mother's things. And there were letters to nonprofits, to hospitals, to anybody just begging for help. That is so sad. That is absolutely sad, honey. My heart goes out to them, okay? This man who passed, who got murked, I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, sometimes you have to, think about the things you do in life, the choices that you decide to make, and that sometimes there's consequences. And see, this is what I'm going to start calling the Hunter Biden effect, where rich people who have power, privilege, and make millions seem to think that they don't get any consequences. Well, sometimes if you don't get any consequences, there are some people who just may feel like they need to, put out some street justice. Not saying that that's right, but that's what some people just seem to think. And also, here's another thing. I'm still not sold on the fact that this was vigilantism. I'm still not sold on the fact because for me, if it was really that, I don't think that the killer would have left those bullet casings with those words engraved on it. I think that was all by design to throw them off of the real reason, and which I again think it goes back to corporate greed and the fear that the man was talking to the feds. Either way, he was nefarious. Okay, so I don't have empathy for nefarious people. Now, with that all being said, hold on. Andrew says, Queen, did you see the video of the CEOs laughing about not paying out of health care? No, I didn't see that, honey, but I'm not surprised. This is all crazy, honey. This is all crazy. Let's have a word from our sponsors, and I'll see if I can find it real quick. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. We're almost done. Okay, I'm going to be wrapping this up in a few minutes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, I didn't find it. I don't have time to keep looking, but Sounds nefarious. And quite frankly, I'm not surprised. Okay. I'm not surprised because there's so many stories and so many videos done about this whole situation that, random things keep popping up about it. Okay. So Easy says, I think it was Diddy acting out from jail. Okay, so anyway, listen, this man is still on the run, honey. Doesn't look like they're going to catch him anytime soon. And just looking at that search the police were conducting, it just looked like they were just walking around lollygagging to me. I can't even take that serious. Looking in the bushes, moving a few leaves around and then continuing to walk on. What are y'all doing? Okay, I'm sorry, make that make sense. And the news is trying to make it seem as though possibly they have some unveiled information that they're just not telling us about. They don't have anything. What they have is peanuts. Okay, they don't have anything. And I know that they're so upset that the public is not trying to help them. I know they're so upset that the public is not trying to help them. And at the end of the day, they said this has possibly opened the floodgates. Well, yeah, it may have. It absolutely may have because people are just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And a whole lot of the stuff that goes on in this country is just so detrimental. And, it just goes to show that they don't care about anybody. Okay. It isn't just Black people. There are white people that get the same type of treatment in these types of cases. Okay. But at the end of the day, what they do is they keep us all arguing and bickering amongst ourselves. That's what they do. They keep us all down here arguing and bickering amongst ourselves while the elites, those with all the power, privilege, and money and prestige, they just do all the things they want to do and just get away with it 9 times out of 10. Okay? 9 times out of 10. Andrew says, did anyone... Oh, okay, that's the same question you already asked. I wish I could find that. I'm going to look for it later, beloved. When you see things like that, send it to my email, please, because I would love to see it. And like I said, I'm not even surprised. And as I told you guys, people are calling this guy a legend. Let's go to this last video before we roll up out of here. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
In the making. I think what we have going on right now is a legend in the making. In real time. I mean, like a DB Cooper type of legend. The New York guy leaves 3 bullet casings, deny, depose, defend, right? Deny, defend, whatever. And then he vanishes, leaving behind a bag of Monopoly money. Dude. Now they've come out and said that the guy that they released the picture of in the Starbucks is not the guy that did the deed, which I think within 30 seconds of his picture being released on social media, we all figured out. But it's not the same guy. So this guy's gone. I mean, people have nicknamed him Robert Paulson, like the character from Fight Club. Like this is the legend in the making. I think we're watching a legend happen in real time. What do you think about that? Not about what's going on, but what do you think about the legend happening in real time? Let me know.
You all are so nefarious. Now, Roddy says, how do we know the Most High didn't want him gone? We really don't know, but there are examples in the Bible. I know you are not dragging the Bible into this, Roddy. So nefarious. Okay, now let's go to this report that came out a few hours ago from CNN. A man, a bike, and a gun. Police search for evidence to solve the killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO on the streets of New York. So as the investigation into the fatal shooting of a healthcare executive in Manhattan enters its 5th day, police are missing key pieces of evidence and are combing through what they have gathered for more clues as the suspect remains on the run. The New York Police Department is getting help from the FBI and other law enforcement agencies across the country to search for the suspect. With the public being encouraged with rewards. Now, I don't think they're really encouraged, but let's continue. 2 new photos released by police show the suspect masked with a hood in the back seat of a vehicle and wearing a jacket walking on the street. While authorities say they believe the suspect has long left New York City after fatally shooting UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson on Wednesday, officials said they feel confident that he will be captured. They said, and this is what Mayor Eric Adams had to say, mind you. He said, let him continue to believe that he can hide behind a mask. We're going to reveal who he is, and we're going to bring him to justice. Well, they're also going to bring you to justice, sir. Aren't you under a whole investigation yourself? Please pay attention. And so here's what authorities are still trying to find. Number 1, the confirmed identity of the suspect. 2, the weapon used in the shooting. 3, the bicycle the suspect used to get away. And here are some of the key pieces of evidence they've gathered. Images of the suspect's unmasked face, video evidence of the path he took to escape, the backpack possibly worn by the suspect with a jacket inside, DNA from a discarded Starbucks water bottle, a partial fingerprint from the water bottle, a discarded burner cell phone, 9mm shell casings with the words delay, deny, and depose written on them. But crucially, there was no gun in the backpack. Now, that sent investigators back to the park. On Sunday, police divers searched a body of water known as the Lake in the area of Terrence Drive near the park's iconic boathouse and Bethesda Fountain. Now, after receiving the Peak Design backpack from Central Park on Friday, police examined it at a forensics lab in Queens. Inside, they found Monopoly money. A law enforcement source gave this information to CNN. And it also contained a Tommy Hilfiger jacket, and it was not immediately clear if other items were in the backpack. So meanwhile, photos of the suspect have been circulated to multiple law enforcement agencies, including airports and border patrol stations along the Mexican and Canadian borders, in the hopes that he wouldn't slip out of the country. The FBI is offering up to $50,000 for the reward money for information leading to his arrest and conviction. The NYPD has added another $10,000. Okay, so altogether it's $60,000. The search for the suspect and more physical evidence come after Thompson was shot on a busy Manhattan street. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, the killing of the UnitedHealthcare CEO has rattled other healthcare companies concerned about their own leadership safety and prompted some of them to ramp up security and scrub top executives' photos from their websites. So, honey, they're taking the photos off the websites. They are clearly spooked. Okay, but hey, when you do dirt. So anyway, the backpack photos, surveillance videos, ammunition left behind, a burner phone, a water bottle, and DNA evidence have thus far helped investigators get closer by zeroing in on the suspect despite hitting dead ends with the use of facial recognition software and an unusable fingerprint previously obtained by police. So they can't even use it because it's a partial print. And with that all been said, how are they any closer? I'm sorry, no, they're not. Okay, don't let them fool you. They're no closer today than they were on Wednesday when it all happened. Investigators continue to search for the electric bike the suspect rode the day of the shooting and are examining whether the shooter used a veterinary gun, a larger firearm used on farms and ranches to put down animals without causing a loud noise. Now, the 9mm shell casings undergoing testing had the words deny, delay, depose written on them. Police are looking into whether words similar in phrasing in a common description of insurance company tactics, delay, deny, defend, may be the motive. They say that might be him sending a message saying why it was that he shot Thompson, but at the same time, it could be a diversion to try to get taken away from the real reason behind it. And this is what former FBI Special Agent Kenneth Gray said on Saturday. Until he's caught, we won't actually know the purpose of those words. Authorities are seeking the public's help identifying Thompson's killer through surveillance images showing the unmasked suspect at an Upper West Side hostel where he checked in using a fake New Jersey driver's license. But with some portraying the killer as a vigilante enacting justice against a healthcare system they believe values profits over lives, and with other users on social media mocking the CEO's death, it could hinder motivation to report sightings of the killer to the police. Well, of course. Okay, absolutely. Absolutely. People are giving 0 Fs. Like nobody's trying to help. Okay. People are calling this man, A legend. So please pay attention. With that all being said, I'll keep you all updated on anything that transpires. But right now, it's looking like this man is gone and he's playing chess, not checkers. Okay? That's what it looks like he's doing to me. And, they sounded so ridiculous saying that he wasn't professional. If he wasn't, why haven't y'all caught him? If he's such an amateur, why don't y'all even have a clue? You have his face plastered everywhere, but still no idea as to the identity of this man. Y'all don't have anybody that's called and told you that looks like so-and-so from down the street, or that looks like my coworker. Don't have anything. Don't have anything, okay? I find it all interesting. I find it all very interesting. Red Wine said, yep, he's got them out there guessing. Exactly. Okay. He's probably watching them on TV looking in the bushes. He's making NYPD look like amateurs. Okay. You're absolutely right, beloved. Easy, you're absolutely right. So anyway, with that all being said, I'm not surprised. But at the end of the day, Miss Evie said, it's the born identity queen. Okay, well, I was thinking it was John Wick. And listen, by the way, there's a movie you guys should watch, okay, that reminds me of this whole entire scenario. It's called The Rainmaker. It stars Matt Damon and Danny Glover and Danny DeVito. Okay, it's called The Rainmaker. Came out about 20-something years ago. But that is a good movie. And this is what it reminds me of, corporate greed and how these insurance companies deny claims of individuals, okay, just so they can continue to make a profit. All right? Okay, so with that all being said, everyone enjoy the rest of this day. Okay, I love you all to life. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. All right, and so if anything else pops off, I'll be back on here, so keep your notifications on. And in the meantime, between time, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got